Can't get too greedy here. Gotta play this smart. YM's kind of moving against NQ. ES is following NQ. So 2 out of 3 are correlated right now. Let's see what YM is doing right now. Okay, we're pulling back a little bit. That'll help us. We don't want to keep seeing retracements on here on NQ. We want to just go straight to our target. Like this is okay, but really we don't want it coming back right here. We want it just going. Yo, Doc, what's up? What's up? What's up? I'll explain this trade to you guys in a moment. Yep. I am in a trade, in fact. Are you in Q longs? Yes, sir. Sorry, yes, ma'am. I'm in NQ longs. From this fair value gap, let me take out my retainer, guys. Sorry. I cannot talk when I have my retainer. Yeah, I'm in longs on NQ. Off this fair value gap, we had a higher time frame inversion that I was anticipating, and yeah, we look pretty good so far. Thinking of closing really soon. I'm already up about more than 3R. Um, we're just kind of pulling back right now. Yeah, that's fine. That was a good. That was a really good trade. I'm not gonna risk not taking profits there. That was at least a 1 to 3. Why did you come late? Sorry, OJ. I was just I was not expecting to take a trade right here. I thought was what was gonna happen is we were gonna come down, sweep, and I was gonna have all this time. And that's really not what happened. We came down, we swept like a few lows right here. And then it came up and closed above, and I was like, oh shoot, we're just gonna run. Sure enough, we just ran. So yep. What's up, Moise? Do you think all-time highs? I yeah. I just the reason why I exited right now is I mean obviously we're still going. I just don't know for sure how long we're gonna chop around, and I don't I'm not playing those games. I don't play those games no more. I just get my 1 to 3, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and I'm out. Like I hate this when it's we come down, you're like, oh shoot, are we gonna reverse? You come up, you get hope, and then it comes back down. I'm not playing that today. You think anything will happen on YM? Let me see. We actually might see by side right now. We might see a pretty good expansion. We have this entire range. Here's what I would aim for right here. Oh my god. Sorry. Let me just do it on this one. I have the rainbow flag on that one. My bad. Using the fib. We're almost at that level. Honestly, I would just aim for like probably like this structure right here. I would just aim for a small target on YM, and I would be bullish right here. I don't, if I'm being honest, I don't think it's most high quality of setup because we're already pulling back on NQ. We've already had our expansion, so it's like, uh, see, I feel bad saying that because Iceman, he's in bias, and I'm not saying it's a bad setup necessarily, but it's just not a setup I would be in. So I don't know. Like at the moment, I don't have an interest in taking any more trades, just because we had our expansion. But caught Ethereum, like ETH Ethereum. Oh shoot, that's pretty cool. I don't trade crypto like that, but I see a lot of like just like good setups on there. You know, it's always on the higher time frame. I might try to pass some evals right now, but I don't feel comfortable sharing those trades because they're probably just basic trades. I only show you guys the bangers. I only show you guys the bangers. Yeah, these are the games that you play when you're trading in such a premium. You know, you have this for value gap, you have this inversion, and then it trades right through. Any other opportunities? Not at the moment, OJ. OJ, can I call you OJ Simpson? You guys, I just passed all requirements for Fund the Challenge. Yes. Yes, if it happened today. Your question, yes, you should lose up to that 30% if that happened like today where it's gonna take it off of your consistency roll. What time did I go live, Ian? Honestly, I went live at like 6:45, so I didn't even like capture the full move with you guys. Um, just because I was setting up all my stuff and then I just saw this setup form and I wasn't gonna miss it. I didn't enter right away. I saw this closure and that instantly like gave me the conviction to enter pretty much. YM Longs. Iceman is also in YM Longs. See, it worked out. See, I wouldn't have taken that trade. But that's because I trade differently. Good job, guys. Good work. When it retested the low. Like all the way down here, kind of this area. See, that's a good long that you got. That's fire. Yeah, it's definitely fire. Right now, kind of just trading up. I'm way on the freaking 30-second, but this would be the final target up here. For NQ, do you think it will drop back? That's a good question. Probably not. I would think that we would come up here and then just hang out the rest of the day. I couldn't see us, because we had such a large expansion, I couldn't see us just coming back. At least not like on the same day. It's a Friday with no news. Definitely the following week, so we'll probably see a retracement. Reversal at 10 a.m. No, I don't think so. But see, I don't think so. It could happen. It all depends on your system and how you trade. But obviously, you have to have like a good reason to just want to catch a reversal. My model, basically, I'll show you on here. Let me just take this stuff off. What my model is we had a sweep of sell side right here. So that's kind of making me bullish. We had a sweep of a little bit of sell side right here, but what's important is that we had this fair value gap that we respected. Overall, on the higher time frame, this is kind of more advanced, I guess, because I just kind of knew, I just had a feeling where price was gonna go. But I anticipated that we were gonna invert this fair value gap, and we did. So with that anticipation, this closure right here that was clean, it was not outside of the box. I just entered right there and stop right here, and then just hit a little banger like that. So key things: sweep of liquidity. I have a higher time frame bias, which was this line right here that I showed you, and then right here was my entry. Pretty simple. Simple, but the execution part kind of takes a while to master. What app do you use to calculate lot size? Honestly, well, I trade Nasdaq and ES, the futures contracts. So I mean, I don't know if you're referring to which kind of lot size, but trying to think how I could what's the best way to show you. Um so typically most of my stops are around 20 to 25 points. So let me show you for instance. So right here I had a 23-point stop loss, but let's just average up and I would say 25 right here. So 25 times 2 is 50. Now add a 0 to it. 25 times 2 equals 50, and then I add a 0 to it. So I'm risking $500 on one contract, which is a pretty standard size for me. Let's say I have a 20-point stop loss. And then times 2 is 40. So then I have a $400 stop loss. And so technically the math here is 20 times 20, but just in my head to make it easier, I just times 2 and then add a 0. That's the best way I could explain lot size. So just remember, if we have a 50-point stop loss, times 2 equals $100 plus add an extra 0. And so that's for one lot, and that's pretty typical for me to trade. Yeah. Yeah, that's on one contract. So when you're trading like future evaluations, it is like you get an extreme amount of leverage that you really don't need to use. And I mean, it's there. If you want to use it, you can, but I honestly almost never use more than one or two contracts. It's just not really necessary. Um, so you could trade micros. Micros are a tenth of the size of normal size. So the way I do this, I usually trade like 5 or 4 micros. So the way that you would do this is, let's say we have a 25-point stop loss. I would just do times 1 for a 5. And then that would be 25, and then I add a 0. So I just times it by 1 and then add a 0. But I guess this is a little harder to calculate just because of how like much more precise it is. I typically like when I'm trading micros, I'm not super how'd you say it, like anal about how precise it's gonna be. I'm always gonna risk like 2 to 250. Whatever lot size, whatever stop loss it gives me, I just take it. Like I'm not too crazy about that. Um, is that the same for gold? No. So gold has its own sizes, and you could look it up. Like, what's a gold futures contract per tick? Uh, okay, so it's $10 per contract per tick. So let's just say actually I'm not sure how to calculate this. I know TradingView has a tool. I honestly don't trade gold enough to know exactly how to calculate it. Let's figure it out right now. Stop loss. Okay, so this is 100. That's 100 ticks right there. So from here to here is 100 ticks. Every tick equals $10. So on 100 take stop loss, you're risking $1,000 on one contract. That's actually kind of easier to calculate than NQ and ES, so that's a good thing. On the hourly, do I think Nasdaq is going to fill the fair value gap? 4 hour fair value gap. No, you said the 1 hour. My bad. I'm not locked in. I don't know which one you're talking about. Do you mean like to the downside or up here? Say 2 for the upper one. Say 1 for the lower one. Up there. No, I'm not very positive that it'll go up there. I just think like today was kind of like hit or miss. We don't have red folder news. We just finished up a pretty like hectic week, so I just can't see it happening today. I think we're gonna come up here to this high and we're just gonna like hang out. Like that's what I'm thinking. Sorry guys, I have a lot more questions right here. Can you explain your strategy again? Come on, brother. Yeah, sure. I can never explain my strategy too much. Basically, it's the best way I could explain this. On the higher time frame, this is actually what it rooted back to. This 4 hour fair value gap, I knew that we're gonna push up to these highs right here. We were very bullish. On the 4 hour, we had a bearish fair value gap right here. I was anticipating we were gonna trade through it. Even though it's bearish, I still think it's gonna pull through it. If we look at what kind of sweeps we had on sell side to continue that bullish mindset, right here we swept these lows. On the 1 minute, we came down, we swept these lows. So 2 sweeps right here, super bullish. We have a bunch of liquidity up here, low resistance, like this. Dare I say trendline liquidity, like that. My confirmation for entry was this fair value gap because we had the closure in here. These stayed right here. Had it closed down here, I probably wouldn't have entered. That's just because I'm following my system. Yeah, thank you, AI. On AMD, what is my thoughts on AMD? This whole setup was AMD. Think about it. We had this accumulation. My manipulation came right here at these lows. So A, M, and then where's my entry? It's on the distribution right here. And so that bias, the overall bias was a AMD setup. My entry was a AMD setup too. Look at this. Accumulation, disregard this. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Honestly, like that's my best setups come when it's that kind of setup, because we're typically in a discount. We're way in a discount because we're trading off a manipulation directly into a distribution. So those are honestly my best trades. Where do I think ES will go? ES, 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 ES. Probably at least to these highs right here. Like, I don't think it's a good idea to trade anymore, guys. I'm just being honest. I wouldn't. We already hit our target, which was the previous daily high. Um, had a lot of expansions Friday. I wouldn't trade anymore. Well, US 30, good trade. You guys had a good trade. I was a little doubtful, but hey, you guys did great. I probably would have chickened out right here. I'm just being honest, but that's why I traded NQ. So it was an easy trade. Your question, AI. Yes, manipulation in my setup is pretty key. Yeah, there always has to be some kind of manipulation because say like we had all these lows lined up, a bunch of lows lined up, and there was never any manipulation, then that kind of shows that it's a weak setup. The whole point is that we're getting liquidity to fuel our move up. Bronx, yes sir. Bro bagged out. Bro bagged out on Dow. He said, he said, "What are you talking about? You can't trade US 30." That's hard, bro. Yes, yes, AI. It's still manipulation. I know we didn't take out the entire sell side range. You really don't have to. Um, what I would let me show you real quick. Let me get my brush. In my opinion, this is a protected low because we came out, we took this low right here. We took this low. Price should not have to come back to this low. This one too. Price doesn't need to come back to that. But the fact that we came down, we took a little bit of sell side and then ran, that's perfect. Internal. um, Bronx, your setup, do you consider that here, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. Just so you guys know my question. So your setup, which was right here, just curious, do you consider this? Oh no, your stop loss is way up here. Do you consider this area like a breaker block or a order block? Like, do you trade ICT or is it strictly off? Like, is it more like CISD where it's just a shift in structure? Bronx. This is the 5 minute that Bronx took this trade on. I don't know which one you're referring to, but my entries are usually on the 1 to the 5 minute. I have 5, 3, 2 minute, whichever gives me the right setup. No AI. I'm talking about another viewer that's watching right now on the Legacy Funded Discord. I'm not. This isn't how I trade. I only trade fair value gaps and inversions, pretty much. We're pulling back quite a bit. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe we do pull. We do take out this entire range. We have a lot of momentum. Out of US 30, awesome, bro. Good trade, good trade. Yeah, it's a banger. I'll probably stop the stream a little bit. Got that psychological. Let me pull this up. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let's just see. Got that psychological price rejected and set up. That makes sense. I could see that happening. Psychological prices actually are pretty like powerful. I don't really use them in my trading, but every time I see them, like they work out. Where they at? Where they at? Break support on the 1 minute. Yeah, that's fair. That's a that's a good exit. Honestly, if I could be short anything, somebody was asking me, would we get a reversal on NQ? I'm not sure, but if I was to be short anything, it would probably be US 30 right here, just because of like how bearish it's been. We had that expansion. We're in a premium. There's a higher chance we would retrace on there. Just saying. Just commenting. Do you also follow the 90-minute cycles AI? No, Mark. I know Mark does. I think for me, if I added that to my system, it would just overcomplicate things. So I don't look at that at all. All right, guys. Probably gonna head out unless you guys have any more questions. Thank you all for stopping by. Did you catch any trades, Ian? You're asking me about NQ. Did you catch any trades? If you guys don't know, Ian's a guy that I know in person. Chill dude, chill friend. You make your system so simple. Nope, that's not a good thing to add more and more to it. There's nothing. I am looking to make it. Sir, do you make your system so simple? I don't know what you mean. But I don't think it's a good thing to add a bunch of things to your system. I think it's better to just keep it simple. I like to look at like what are the best traders in the world doing, or even in prop firms. You look at the traders in prop firms. All of them have a relatively easy system, but they have a lot of intuition with it, meaning they just have all that experience built up that you're not gonna take the same trades that they would. How do you make it simple? Honestly, the easiest thing that I have found when making a simple system, um, sweep of liquidity, sweeps the liquidity, make it super simple, and then following the higher time frame. So let's just say in this instance right here, we have this higher time frame for value gap. We have a sweep of sell side. So if I'm trying to take a setup in here, there's so many different setups. You could have this inversion. You could have this fair value gap you enter on. You could have um, this breaker right here that you enter on. What I'm getting at is that because we had this higher time frame delivery down here, We had a sweep of sell side. Those things are just contributing to our bias on where we think price is going to go. The entry part is totally up to you. This is a setup. This is a setup. This is a setup. So we have three different setups, but they're all based on the higher time frame, fair value gap, and liquidity. So what I'm trying to get at is having those two things and then just creating your own execution. It could be a fair value gap, whatever you want, order block. Um, but you should stick to the same system and you're gonna get good enough that it's that simple. It's just 3 steps. That's the best way to do it. No trades for me today on the charts, kind of late. Yeah, gold has been tough. Gold has been really tough. I keep wanting to short and there's just like nothing but buy side. Had lose for some years, you'll feel the anxiety build up more and more. Yes, sir. There's when you don't know where to go, what to do, there's a lot of anxiety there. I feel like had I not found ICT, I probably wouldn't have been profitable. I don't think he's like the most profitable system. I just think it's simplified it for me and it made sense. So before I would trade it supply and demand and that was really rough because it wasn't really telling me where the high probability setups were because there was always a demand area or supply area. I'm sure now I can make it work with what I know with just market knowledge, but for a higher time frame, for value up, do you use the 1 hour or the 4 hour? 4 hour is more powerful. 4 hour is extremely powerful actually. So I prefer the 4 hour, but you don't want to sit here and like overcomplicate it. Like you don't want to draw this one out and you could draw this one out, but like for instance, this one isn't important. The most important ones that I would point out right here is this one, and then the one that we were inside of. But that one got inverted already. So you don't want to overcomplicate it. I see people trying to like draw through like this, and then all of a sudden you're scared because you don't want to take a setup. Just focus on liquidity, focus on a few fair value gaps, and you'll be good. What I find hard is sweeps. Like, does it have to take out the low or only the short term low? What helped me the most is stop thinking too harshly on where the liquidity's at, like what kind of liquidity is. Focus on time. Then let me show you what I mean. So this entire range right here, we're consolidating, right? We don't start moving until the New York AM session. So all of the sweeps that we had in here are honestly kind of irrelevant. It didn't matter what kind of sweep it was or where it was at. Yes, it builds up our bias for the future, but there's no setup in here. So where are we going to look at? Where is the only plausible liquidity sweep? Well, it's going to be right here. And even though we didn't take out a bunch of sell side right here, um, what gave me conviction in this setup is we've been extremely bullish with NASDAQ and not so bullish on ES. So I knew NASDAQ was just going to rocket up. And see that, like, me saying that, you can't, you don't directly know that unless you have that kind of conviction. So it's like, I could sit here and tell you that, but do you really believe it? You have to show up, whether to your own charts or to the stream, and you having that repetitiveness of seeing that you're gonna understand that. But that's literally intuition right there, what I just said. Like you can't just, that isn't on the chart. That's just something I could tell you. You watch all ICT mentorship. I watched the 2022, the entirety of it. I watched most of 2023. Month 8 on the 2017, or I think it's 2016 to 2017. Month 8, most important one. Honestly, all you really need is month 8. I stream daily. Yes. Uh, True. When you start seeing them clearly, you just have to focus on replicating what you see in the same conditions. Exactly. When you see those same conditions, the conditions we've been having is like we take a little bit of sell side and then we just run. We just run with it. And then we have like higher time frame confluences, but price is just kind of the same. Like take a little bit of sell side and then we run with it. I stream more consistently on. Well, I've been streaming consistently on YouTube. AI, you could just hop by on there. Also, Asia session. Mark is really good at explaining things. So if you need more help, like learning, that's perfect. Yeah, month 8 for core content. All right, guys, I gotta go. I'm sorry. You guys have some good questions though. No over trading, guys. Okay. Yeah. Let me send the YouTube. One sec. We just did a vlog too. If you guys want to check that out. We hung out with Luca and Nick. If you guys want to check that out, that was pretty fun. Yeah. Have a good day. Later, Dr. J. Later, Arthur. Later, Iceman. I see everyone. All you guys that always show up. You guys have a good day. I'll see you next week. Later, later. Okay, AI, yeah, I'll be on here. I usually start at, in terms of EST, Eastern time, 9:45. It just gives me time to set up where I'm at. Um, it's like 6:30 a.m. when the market opens, and I usually wake up right before market open. So, it's kind of hard for me to just start the stream right away. But yeah, you have a good one, man.